Good evening, I'm Norman Robinson and welcome to Affordable Housing Matters. Are you interested in lowering your electricity bill? Posigen will join us to tell us how they are changing the mindset about solar energy. Also, the Parade of Homes starts in June and the Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans will give us a preview of this year's collection of homes. And what role does economic development play in the affordability of one's neighborhood? We'll sit down with the executive director of the Algiers Economic Development Foundation to find out the importance of a business-friendly environment. Valuable information coming your way, so please stay tuned.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
The 2019 Parade of Homes is ideal for millennials searching for homes in a centrally located, walkable area. Joining me now to tell us more about this annual event is Mr. John Luther, CEO of the Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans. John, it's great to have you back on the program.
Thank you so much. Great seeing you, Norman.
Yeah, this is an exciting time of year for the Home Builders Association.
It truly is. I mean, I think all of us get excited about spring, but to go ahead and out there and build homes and be able to visit them, we're really excited.
Yeah, and we were talking before we began the show about this year being especially an exciting year for you.
Right. We're in 6 of our 7 parish kind of jurisdiction for the greater metro area, which in my many years at the organization, I don't recall us, being in 6 of 7 for quite a long year, many years. And we're also at around 29, 30 homes, which for us, that's huge. Yeah, that's a good reflection of what's going on out there in the market.
And what makes this so compelling?
I believe the fact that we're at some really nice range of price points. Mm-hmm. We've got some new builders that are involved that hadn't been previously in our parade. So I think there's some opportunity out there that folks are starting to seize upon.
And you talked about the number of homes being expanded for the first time in a long time. What are some of the styles that we're talking about?
We got a little bit of, we'll still always go with that traditional New Orleans vernacular, but we also have some real contemporary and modern product going up. And you got some of these innovations nowadays where it's almost like indoor-outdoor living. It's hard to discern sometimes when you're in or out of the house. You have window systems and treatments that kind of, instead of the window going up, it's almost like a door that kind of revolves. I mean, wild how we're taking and looking at this seamless type of living.
And we're talking about actually bringing the outdoors inside.
Correct. Or conversely,
bringing the inside out outdoors.
Right.
So what are some of the new materials you're dealing with? In terms of the new homes that
we're again, a lot of these treatments where they're glass products normally or some other type of synthetic, but they're clear and the way that some of these we'll call them doors if you will, but the way that some of them are manipulated. And it's the ease with which one can do it now. It's not like the old school windows where you have to open the latch, push it. Yeah,
tell me about it.
It's quite amazing with that. A lot of our materials, and what's kind of cool is what's new is what's old. A lot of the reclaimed materials that a lot of our builders are using, and it used to be they would just use reclaimed wood, and the old barge board. Now we're seeing reclaimed stone and iron and metals and. Pretty cool. Now these products or these materials are decades old, but yet they're being applied in a very forward-looking fashion. And in some sense that makes things more efficient environmentally. We're reusing something, so that's always, I think, a productive development. So those sorts of areas are really exciting for us, where our builders are showing some real creativity. Which I think is pretty cool.
It sounds to me like that builders are kind of embracing what our forefathers did in terms of kind of integrating our lives with the land around us.
That's a good point.
And using what's there.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought about it in that regard, but that's precisely right. And we in our metro community, we're limited. We don't have a whole lot of open space to go ahead and just build thousands of homes. And so that's a great point. We have to use what it is that our resources are right in front of us, and continue to reimagine what those might do for us.
And what are some of the neighborhoods that tell us about some of the neighborhoods?
Oh, sure. I mean, we were speaking earlier. We're in St. Bernard Parish in Araby, and
that's a hot area.
It's a very hot area. It's right across the parish line. Now we're talking Araby Heights, so that's pretty exciting. But at the same time, we're in Plaquemines Parish. We've had a subdivision we've been involved in there called Parks of Plaquemines, which is lovely. We're in the Irish Channel. We have a really cool renovation that one of our builders is doing in the Irish Channel.
Really?
And that really takes you back to what's old is what's new, you know. And we're in Lakeview, of course, which we've been. We're in Old Metairie. We're in Kenner. We're out in Luling. We're in Laplace. So quite the range, yeah.
So you've got a lot to see when you're on this tour. So
right.
What you're saying is carve out some time.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You got 2 weekends.
Because it might take a while.
That's right. You know, I attend as just a customer, a citizen. With my wife, you know, we go through all those houses, and I learn something, you know, even though I'm in the industry.
Yeah, even though I'm looking at some of them and I can't afford them, I still like to go. I still like to go look at them. Right? I got to go dream, right? Let's talk about affordability.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah.
So what's out there? Is it a range of affordability for everybody, or just we're talking about middle and upper middle?
Well, that's I think the whole issue, the greater issue of affordability going on all over the country as we speak. It's such a relative term,
right?
And we talk about this in the city in New Orleans, and we talk about when I'm at the council and with the mayor. Affordability in the Silicon Valley is very different than affordability in New Orleans.
Very definitely.
You know, and so we as industry professionals have to try to figure that out. It's affordability in New Orleans is very different than affordability perhaps in Mandeville. You know, but it's up to us as experts and professionals. Most of our homes in our parade, as you alluded to earlier, these are showcases. They're going to be on the higher end. Now, we have plenty of homes that are going to be in the high 200s. Going into 300,000, which don't get me wrong, for a lot of folks that's still unachievable.
But for a lot of folks, that is affordability.
Right, exactly.
As you say, it's all relative.
It's relative. The larger issue for us is to continue to figure out how to get something in the market that truly, you know, as many of our citizens in the region as possible can afford. That's a difficult proposition. It truly is. So we're looking at different innovative ways, different subsidies, different tax credits, and so forth, because it's a challenge.
How does this play into renovation?
Renovation, I think, is key, and the sexy term is adaptive reuse.
Oh, this is a new term for me.
Adaptive reuse, and if you think about it, Norman, we've got a lot of properties still remaining or lying idle or underutilized in the city proper. We have to attack those properties through so-called adaptive reuse and try to imagine what do we have as that from the structure that we want to take with us, but then how do we bring it forward so a modern family can live there and they can live there affordably. That I think we can do more affordably than certain new construction, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. We were talking about the dream earlier during our discussion. What about the big dream, the raffle?
That's the dream home.
Hey, that's always the cherry on top, right?
It is, and it's something special to me. I've been involved now with the St. Jude Dream Home for 8 or 9 years. The Home Builders Association, of course, of Greater New Orleans, and of course it's our goal to raise as much money and sell as many raffle tickets as possible. That money truly goes to that hospital in Memphis, and they're working on cancer cures for children and other ways to sustain and maintain. And I mention this because I think it's important. Second to the state of Tennessee, the most kids who get treated at that hospital in Memphis are from Louisiana.
Wow.
And that's why we truly do it.
I didn't know that.
This is for our kids. Yeah, this is for our kids as well. And the way that hospital operates, God forbid you go there as for treatment, it's all paid for by St. Jude. The housing for your family, your parents, it's all paid for.
So it's a worthwhile cause.
That's what motivates us to continue to try to
Well, we're motivated every time you visit us. So
thank you.
So thanks for being here.
It's great seeing you again.
It's great seeing you.
Yeah, thank you, Norman.
CEO of Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans, Mr. John Luter. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Coming up next, tired of that ever-growing energy costs and need of a solution to decrease the bill? Well, we'll have an answer on how to keep some of that money in your pocket right after this break.
WRBH 88.3 FM provides blind and print handicapped listeners with programs that inform and entertain. To learn more, contact 504-899-1144 or WRBH.org.
Posigen, a solar company based out of Jefferson Parish, believes solar is for everyone. The company is changing the mindset that solar is only for the rich, which is its unique business model. Posigen is the only solar company focusing on low to moderate income households. Joining me now to talk more about how they're making solar affordable to all families is Mr. Joseph Sidlovsky, Posigen's regional sales manager. And before we start, I have to let everybody know that I happen to be a Posigen customer. I happen to be one of those lucky customers, and when I learned that you were going to be on the show today, I was excited, and I think it's a good opportunity for our viewers to learn more about Posigen and solar panels. So tell us about the Posigen model.
Well, great. I appreciate that, and congratulations for being a customer. Yeah, for about 3 years. Look, our program makes sense for the right house. I've been with the company coming up on 7 years now, and the core mission of Posigen really hasn't changed, and that's to have a positive financial impact on all of our clients. So what we do is we removed all barriers to entry. You know, if a homeowner has enough roof space and a high enough electricity bill, our program's likely a good fit. Our main goal is to analyze that roof, analyze that electricity bill, explain the program to the client, and if it makes sense, we can go ahead and move forward without any financial constraint. No upfront costs, no credit requirement, no one can say they can't afford it.
Now, when you talk about the right house, you talk about analyzing a roof, what does that mean?
The main thing that I'm talking about is how much direct sunlight is going to hit certain areas of the roof and how much space is there. Of course, the roof has to be in good condition. But what we're looking to do is utilize equipment that once it's installed, very little maintenance. It just does what it's supposed to do. So
what are my concerns in terms of having this device on my roof when I'm looking at hurricane force winds?
Well, fair question, yeah. Everything I know about installing a system on the roof tells me it's going to make the roof stronger.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. Of course, there's certain requirements for us to be able to install and make sure we meet those permitting guidelines. But the systems are supposed to be able to handle a high mile per hour of wind range. And it's kind of a scary thing to think about here.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest parts of our program is if the system's damaged from a storm or anything else, in our core lease program, Posigen takes care of that.
What about the sustainability in terms of maintenance requirements?
Yeah, so I have a system on my own house, definitely questions that I asked, you know, when we were looking, when my wife and I were looking into this. And the beauty of it is, it's practically maintenance free. Between the wind and the rain, you really don't have to do anything. Solar just works. As long as that direct sunlight's hitting it, it's going to do what it's supposed to do. And we, as the homeowners, don't have to do anything. Of course, if we have questions, we just call Posigen.
So as a homeowner, my home is surrounded by trees. I'm probably not a good candidate.
It depends how close those trees are, and
Okay.
it depends how tall the trees are.
Okay.
We always engage a property, engage a house in the condition, in the location that it's in, right then and there. So of course, if you have small trees, eventually those trees may grow, but we want to look at what this system can do for you now and in the long term.
When you mention that it's affordable to the extent that you don't need a prior credit report, how is that possible?
Wow, I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
How it's possible is because our main focus is on savings. You know, so as long as we can show our clients and of course our investors that we can save people money, the program makes sense. So we're able to offer that, and every year the client's going to be able to save more than what they're paying Posigen. And I don't find too many people who can walk away from such a net positive value to their home.
And this is something that has a proven history.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's not going to work, we're upfront about it. We'll tell you that. We don't charge anything to tell you this isn't going to be a good financial move for you.
Okay, what about the efficiency rate when we talk about solar panels as it compares to just regular energy systems?
Well, efficiency is an interesting question. I love hearing it. Generally, for about 130 years,
okay,
you hit the light switch and your lights go on. And where's that power coming from? It's traveling great distances, okay, over transmission lines. Well, with solar, it's only traveling a matter of feet in most cases, from your roof right into your panel. So it's the most efficient way to power your home.
What about the issue that some people are confronted with when, say, the power goes out?
Sure.
And they're going, well, why can't my solar panel then just kick in and energize my house,
Yeah.
since it's already on the roof?
Sure. So when I started here, I spent most of my time selling in the New Orleans East area, and I heard hundreds of Katrina stories and got so many questions about that. And I think it's fair to ask, our program is not designed to be the emergency power solution.
Okay.
And the grid happens to be very reliable here, just very frustrating when it goes down, of course, and typically in the warmer months. Possibly a generator is a solution for that emergency source. Our program is designed to offset as much power as possible so people save the most and don't notice any kind of a difference in usage in their house. But same thing happens. If the lights go out in the whole neighborhood, you're still out of luck unless you have a generator.
Yeah. Back to the efficiency as it relates to energy. When you come to my house, for instance, and you're looking to install solar panels, say my house meets the requirements, are you just installing the solar panel, or are you doing other things to improve the efficiency?
Okay, so we take a look at the entire home, not just the roof, and our energy efficiency package is really what makes the Posigen program what it is. Make power with solar, save power with energy efficiency. So we want to find ways that aren't necessarily going to change anything aesthetically with the home. You barely notice visually differences with our energy efficiency, but we take every house as a unique opportunity to find ways to lower that home's consumption of power, make the house a little more comfortable. It'll hold a temperature better depending on how energy efficient the home is before we get there, of course. And we found ways to save extra money doing that, so people generally love that part of the program as well.
Now, I noticed that in your advertisements you say that you focus on low to moderate income homeowners. Why is that?
Well, our research has shown, and my experience in the field has shown me, that people who are struggling to pay the power bill, generally going to be the most expensive bill, maybe other than the mortgage. And in New Orleans especially, we're really feeling the impact. The residents here really feel the impact of those high electricity bills. Part of that has to do with the climate, of course. And that's why this is such a good fit, because for someone who takes pride in home ownership and they're struggling to pay a bill, we want to be able to redirect some of that money back into their own household. And that's been the greatest impact, I think, in this area, in all of our markets, Baton Rouge and outside of Louisiana as well, where people can take the money they're already spending, still keep their lights on, still be able to set their air conditioner at a more comfortable place, and now they've got a little extra. Maybe they can put that, to their family, and maybe they can spend that in the community, which they've been doing. So it's really a win-win-win.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's definitely something worthwhile, and it's worth your time and effort to look into.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know it works for me. Yeah.
Well, hey, it works for me too. But I think New Orleans has an amazing opportunity, and pleasure being here. But really, the message is we're on the cusp of big growth. Solar's not going anywhere. Our program, our company, we're committed. And the people of New Orleans, they're the innovators. They really are. If you have solar right now, you're in the category that we would consider innovators. And to get this to the masses and make sure people hear about it, we want to talk to you. Let us sit down.
Well, thank you. As one innovator to the next, thank you for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Affordable Housing Matters. Mr. Joseph Sidlovsky, Posigen Regional Sales Manager. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Economic development is key to building sustainable, business-friendly environments. When we return, we'll find out how vital it is for homeowners to have a foundation making investments in their neighborhood. Don't go far.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
The Algiers Economic Development Foundation's mission is to build a sustainable, business-friendly environment that grows investments and jobs on the West Bank of New Orleans. And here to tell us how they're making this all possible is my friend, Mr. Derrick Martin, Executive Director of the Algiers Economic Development Foundations. Hi, Derrick.
Norman, how you doing? Thank you for having
Man,
me.
you know, my producer's been trying to get you on this show forever.
He ain't been trying too hard. He hasn't been trying too hard.
He finally landed the big fish from Algiers.
I don't know about all that, but I'm happy to be
Yeah,
here.
well, how things in the Algiers business?
You know, I would say it's better than good. The tempo is where we want it to be. We're not moving as fast as we would like to, but with support from our new mayor, Latoya Cantrell, our state senator Troy Carter, and our incredible leader as Kristen Gilson-Palmer.
Yeah, she is. She's a dynamic leader.
She is.
I got to give her a due.
They are
does
working.
a good job.
We're working in concert, and I couldn't be more pleased.
Yeah. So tell us what the Algiers Economic Development Foundation does, because we were talking earlier. A lot of people
Sure.
have a misconception about
Absolutely.
what the Development Council actually is about.
Sure. So in essence, we have been charged with growing jobs on the West Bank. And that's as simple as recruiting, business retention, and expansion. Most businesses, when they go out and get consulting work, they get charged thousands of dollars an hour to do what we do. But we have a small stipend coming from the state to simply keep businesses healthy, happy, and here. The return on that investment is tenfold at a minimum. And so with that, if you are a business looking to open, grow, or maintain in Algiers, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to sit down with you, find out where the incentives are, where the opportunities are, promote your businesses. We have a deep Rolodex of West Bankers from not just Algiers, but Gretna and Plaquemines Parish and Jefferson Parish, and we'll make sure your business get put out there and you get as much visibility as
So
possible.
you mentioned Gretna and Plaquemines. That's the West Bank is a close-knit
It is.
community.
It is.
And where people are interconnected.
Indeed. I like to say that we are strong from a grassroots partnership. We walk in sync. We are closely connected, and if Gretna needs something, they know they can call me, and vice versa.
And plus, we have the best view of the skyline.
Without a doubt, the best. It's not even. Some people say arguably, but it's not arguable. We have the best view.
So, in what way is the economy growing in Algiers?
You know, along the General de Gaulle corridor, you'll see significant retail. One of our big lands this year, or just actually last year, was Starbucks. No one ever thought that Starbucks would ever come to Algiers, but when Starbucks landed on the corner of Bourbon Highway and General de Gaulle, that did something on a national level, because people watch Starbucks, and wherever Starbucks go, people will follow, because they do all the due diligence, which says they landed there because of a reason. So now we're starting to get calls, and just because Starbucks landed, now we're getting national calls from call centers. Well, that's almost unheard of, to have a call center. Looking at Algiers as a possibility to bring, 200 or 300 jobs. So that's the dynamics of being able to land a national, or we talked about earlier, a global icon like Starbucks.
And we're talking. This is a affordable housing show. So the natural question for people is, how does economic development create wealth through home ownership?
So here it is. When someone like Starbucks comes and they have livable wages, and livable wages are measured differently than different parts of the country. Here, I would like to say, if you're making $12, $13 an hour, that's somewhat of a livable wage. Now, with that, it's all education, because people want a home, right? They can pay $850 for an apartment, but then they can get a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house for $675, $700. So the numbers are there. And so we are looking to grow those jobs at affordable, livable wages, and then we actually take them through educational seminars, say you can own a home. It's not that you can't, it's how do you? And that's part of what we do, because home ownership, creating wealth through home ownership, is a part of economic development. It's a quality of life issue.
And one of the most attractive areas of home ownership in Algiers happens to be this quaint little community called Algiers Point.
Yeah, I know a few people that live over in that area.
Yeah.
It is, and it's a beautiful area. We get a lot of foot traffic in Algiers Point through our concert series, Wednesdays on a Point. Wednesdays on a Point is a 6-week event that happens every Wednesday, and we draw people from all over Orleans Parish, Metro Orleans Parish, who typically wouldn't come to Algiers Point. The good thing is they get to walk and see Algiers Point, but then it stops right there, and we really want to open up that opportunity so they can see all of Algiers, all 17 square miles of it.
Yeah, people don't realize that that's probably one of the few areas in Orleans Parish that's not totally landlocked.
Absolutely.
There's room for expansion.
There is. And the good thing is people come across and they use their little apps and they realize, wow, this house is $480,000. Well, Algiers Point has some expensive houses, but just outside of Algiers Point, not even 4 or 5 blocks, there are affordable homes there.
Yeah, because it's an older community, and it's a community that is in redevelopment in terms of a lot of people doing renovation projects.
Indeed.
In that area. And you mentioned Councilwoman
Palmer. Yes.
She's involved in a lot of renovation projects.
She took actually a season off from being an elected official, and she really geared up and realized that the opportunity was there. And I think she did it to show people that it is possible, because in her first term, she talked about it. Well, now she stepped out, she got engaged and said, I told you it can be done. Yeah. So I think she's pretty much the pioneer and started making things happen in that area.
Yeah, so when we're talking about housing affordability, Algiers is a great place to look.
Indeed, right. Indeed. Not Algiers Point,
no,
Algiers.
Right. All right, Derrick Martin, Executive Director of the Algiers Economic Development Foundation. Thank you for being here on Affordable Housing Matters.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And that will wrap up our show for this evening. We would again like to thank all of our guests for joining us on Affordable Housing Matters. And for those of you who would like to rewatch this or any other past episodes of our program, please visit WLAE.com and click on the programming link. And there you can view all past episodes of Affordable Housing Matters. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm Norman Robinson. Have a good night.